Hi everyone, it's my face! Ambulance is going past a side, which was great, and now there's motorbikes. It's all good. I'm glad I live in fucking Sim City. I just want to quickly apologise in advance, which is what I said to Ashley before I proposed to her. I just want to apologise in advance, just in case I don't manage to do a video a week. At the moment, I am doing a lot of work on film theory and Andre Bazin and fucking Eisenstein and Podolkin or whatever the fuck, whoever invented montage theory. No one knows what I'm talking about right now, which is great. So unfortunately I may not be able to do a video a week, and if I don't, I apologize for that. But hopefully I'll be able to keep up with it. Apex Legends is great, and there are new games coming up, and maybe I'll get around to recording commentary for that. But right now I have very labor intensive. It's not labor intensive, unless you include picking up pieces of paper and a pen. It's like, oh, come on, I'm almost there. You can take the audio from this and put it to a different video and it changes it. It is very time consuming what I have to do for university right now. And unfortunately they don't have a program where they let you take time off to make YouTube videos. So what the motherfuckers. So I will be spending a lot of time with that, and I won't be able to commit myself as well to YouTube. But hopefully I'll still be able to knock them dead. The air. So that being said, enjoy the video. I know there's not much enjoyment to be had. I'm not exactly the most skillful human being alive. I've never even made a hammer out of a stick, so it's sort of like, what's the point, you know? Oh, just a quick side note, because I don't want you to watch this video. I feel really bad that I haven't yet credited Ben for that awesome intro. That intro is by Ben Short of Alan and Luke and Jam and everybody else plays Minecraft. I'm not going to put a clip in there because I put about...
Oh look, I spawned back at the base.
You're an 5,000 in there before. Super cool dude, and basically I just, you know, we were talking about the intro and stuff like that, and he just said, well look, I'll throw something together for you. And he made the visuals and then said, I've made some music for it too, and the result is the badass intro that I have now that a lot of people have been commenting on and think are great, which it is. It's a great intro. So that's Ben Short. I don't think he has anything that he wants me to plug, but if I do plug anything of his down the line, then he totally deserves it because he made a great intro. I don't know if you'd be able to commission him to make one or something like that. Also, I have cool lighting setup stuff now. I've just got some strip lights for the back of my TV to make it look kind of atmospheric, and this is a light that I've been using a long time anyway. Subscribe for more. Hello there, I'm Big Alias, and this is a video game. I've got a face and I'm a voice. I'm a voice. I'm going to be talking to you, and I want to talk about this game. I mean, this year, I get to the tail end of last year. I really got into talking about games and new games that were coming out and reviews, these sort of pseudo reviews that I was doing, and entitling reviews for clicks. And the question came up a lot of whether I would assign a score to the game, and I know a lot of people asked me to do so. You know, they messaged me and left comments and things like that, saying, you know, are you going to apply score to these reviews? And it is something that I thought about a lot. It's something that I have definitely questioned, and I understand the kind of want to add a like quantifiable number to a review for a game, you know, to tell you exactly, sort of summarize exactly what you think of a game by giving it a number, and that's great. But unfortunately, after that season of games, that tremendous tail end of last year, the two games that I've reviewed, including this one, and Apex Legends, I haven't really been able to be in a position where I can assign a number to it, because I was never a Battle Royale fan going into Apex Legends, so I can't really base that on anything else other than, you know, being a first-person shooter, of which case it is just Titanfall 2. So I'd be reviewing Titanfall 2, in which case it would get a very high score indeed, but I wouldn't be able to review Apex Legends, and I also don't think that I could give a score to this game. But the reason I don't think I could give a score to this game is because it is so up in the air with me. It is of either side of a coin, this game. I'm going to open this up by saying, because I think it will be impossible to avoid, and I think, you know, the only way that you wouldn't be able to see this is if you were blind. This game is not great. This game is not brilliant. It's not even really that good. It's a very, very mediocre game. Extremely dated, not very good looking. The campaign is kind of weak. If existent, and you know, it just feels like an incredibly old, dated, and just not very spectacular game. And yet, I played it last night, I put it down, I woke up, and I wanted to play more. And I think that sort of sums up this game. There are a lot of idiosyncrasies to this game that I could talk about that I like and I don't like. The driving is phenomenally bad. The driving is horrible. It feels sluggish and terrible. And I would say that that's a negative that doesn't really have a positive counterpart. But, to run down the list, the graphics aren't great. There isn't really a story. You just sort of go through different sort of, I guess you call them outposts in a Ubisoft game. The cutscenes all sort of kind of comic books. The gameplay feels very old and just extremely dated. It's basically exactly the same as Crackdown 1 and 2. And the shooting kind of feels very old and, things like that. And those are the real core criticisms. I guess they kind of make up a bad game. I mean, that's every sort of aspect that you look for within a game is a negative there. And yet, I like the way that the game looks. I like the general design of the city. I like the color palette. I actually like the fact that there isn't a story to weigh the game down. It makes it feel like it is just a big open world where you collect stuff. And I love the fact that you play as Terry Crews. I don't drive. The abilities make driving basically something that you don't really have to do. And the gameplay feels A, nostalgic, and B, like it works around the system of leveling yourself up. Unfortunately, that system does restrict it to a game that feels incredibly dated, and especially when there are games like Metro, Exodus, and Anthem coming out and things like that. There's such an explosion of games at the moment. It is unfortunate, that you have to compare it to these games, especially when you have Red Dead Redemption 2 come out last year, which seems surpassed anything that we could imagine from a video game in this decade. It is difficult to look at this game as something that is good, and I don't think it is. I think objectively it's not a good game. At first, the shooting will feel jarring to you, the movement will feel jarring to you, the gameplay will feel jarring to you. Oh, and by the way, in regards to the cutscenes, yeah, they're comic book stills, but I think I like that. I think it's refreshing for me to not have like these CG cutscenes that are made up of the in-game engine. But anyway, so yeah, at first it's gonna feel jarring, and for a while you might not like the gameplay, and it does take getting some of those agility orbs and some of the strength orbs and stuff like that to really get into the game and make it feel better. But it does feel as though it's accommodating to that system, and it does make it feel like you want to go out there and search for things. And I think that's why I wanted to jump back into it so bad, is because I wanted to get back into that. I wanted to craft a super soldier, which is exactly how I felt about Crackdown 1 and 2. So despite the fact that it's not a great game per se, I do think that it's a fun game. It is a game that I'm having a good time with, and I think that maybe it's kind of designed around it, which makes it difficult for me because I can't give a review to this game, a score to this game or anything like that, anything antiquated, because if I say that this game is bad, then I'm telling people that they shouldn't play it, and maybe that it isn't fun. But if I say that it's good, then I'm telling people to go on and get it. But there are so many games that are just better productions, better constructions of things. Metro Exodus looks phenomenal right now. And to tell people to go for Crackdown over that, I just physically can't do that. And I hope that people understand. I do want to deliver this video to people because I am telling people, especially when there are a lot of other people who are assuming that because it's a bad game that it isn't fun. There are a lot of people who are saying that, and I want to go against that. And in making this video, I want to be the voice of reason and say that yes, when you get this game, if you are looking for an engrossing experience and something that is vivid and strong with good gameplay, good graphics, something that's fleshed out and a great story, you're not going to find it here. But I don't think that you would get this game seeking that. But you're not going to find it. You're not really going to find a game that deserves to be on this platform. That should have really stuck to the 360. But you are going to find a game that you're going to have a great time with. I don't think it's a throwaway game, and I've never done anything like this before, but I am going to do this now. There have been 2 reviews recently. Usually I'm the guy who says that I'm okay with critics being the way they are. A lot of people don't understand what a critic's job is, and a critic's job is to tell you how good something is, the quality of something. And it's not their job to be subjective, it's their job to be objective. This is the case with film and games, and it should be the case with music, but it isn't, because music selling music is dying, but whatever. That's the whole thing. But yeah, the job of a reviewer is to be objective and just tell you what is good and what is bad about a game and then make a score out of that. And I'm usually on the side of that. But there have been 2 reviews recently that have just made me want to... that have been absolutely atrocious. And the first one was for Shadow of the Tomb Raider last year, and I think it was the GameSpot review, where a guy said... that he opened it by saying that the game isn't good because they haven't changed it enough, and then went on to tell you of a myriad of things that have changed. Literally opened with there aren't enough changes to this game and it doesn't feel fresh enough, and then told you about all of the ways in which it's changed and it feels fresh now.
There's seemingly very little, if anything, that's changed dramatically or been discarded from the formula. Tomb Raider's interpretation of blockbuster action-adventure mechanics is starting to feel half a decade old. Her demeanor is reflected in a renewed focus on stealth, where the new mechanics and the jungle setting give Lara the opportunity for Predator-style ambushes. She can cover herself in mud for additional camouflage, string enemies up from a tree, and craft fear arrows, which cause humans to freak out and attack each other. You're also now able to transition back into stealth after being discovered, provided you can get away and break a line of sight. There's a big emphasis on these new abilities.
That was one review that I had a real issue with, and I now want to talk about IGN's review for Crackdown 3, which I absolutely despised. I don't disagree with their score of giving it a 5. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't feel like a new game. It doesn't feel fresh or, polished really in any way. But the guy was just making out as though there's no fun to be had in this game. And I want to kind of base my opinion off of drawing from that, because I think a lot of people, I saw a lot of people in the comments basing their opinion of Crackdown 3 on what they were being told and not what they had experienced. None of these people had experienced the game. Now, I can say to you that all of the weapons, none of the weapons feel good, but the weapons do feel good. But there was a point that he made in the IGN review that there was a couple of weapons that you're going to choose that are going to be the weapons that you're going to play use throughout the game. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember the MP7 in Modern Warfare 3 and the Gnasher in Gears of War Online and the BR in Halo. There are always weapons that you're going to choose above other ones because they're better. That's how weapons work in games. They have to feel like you're progressing through and picking up better things and finding the things that you want to use. And obviously there's going to be overpowered weapons in that. And yet the gunplay, there's this auto-aim system that I think a lot of people aren't gelling with and won't gel with unless you look at this game from an aspect of, or from kind of a standpoint of, I just want to go out there, upgrade my super soldier and just shoot things. Then you are, I think, going to get bogged down by the fact that there are things like auto-aim that feel very dated and on a surface level take the skill out, which brings me to my biggest issue with the IGN review, which was that the health system. I am not exaggerating when I say this. Crackdown 3 is one of the hardest games I have played in recent history. It is one of the hardest games because it has this health system, which on the surface, basically it works like this. You kill people and you get orbs which regenerate about a quarter of your health for every kill. But your health does also regenerate over time. Now, to look at that, on a plain surface level, then you would say that that is a bad health system and that it makes the game too easy, as the guy did in the IGN review.
Since your shield and health recharge, both with time and with every enemy killed, even huge groups of enemies are survivable by just rushing in and shooting until everything is dead.
However, in this game, you are just met with a barrage of things. Just everything comes at you, and it's just a huge mishmash of things. There are turrets, different types of robots, different classes of people, vehicles, everything blowing you up, shooting you from every angle, and cover is very hard to find. And these things are also kind of bullet sponges. After about half an hour of play, these things take a lot of bullets, so you won't be getting many of those orbs. Regenerating your health takes a ton of time. It feels excessive. It takes forever to regenerate your health. So by doing that, it does avoid making it too easy. I actually find this game incredibly difficult. You can't tell me that you on any difficulty but easy, you took on that helicopter and didn't die. You must have, because it's an incredibly difficult game. But in being difficult, it does make you go around the city and have fun in this aesthetically pleasing, if not low texture, poorly modeled, bad looking world, but at the same time aesthetically pleasing world. picking up agility orbs and getting into fights and upgrading, and ultimately that is where you're going to have the most of the fun of your fun with this game, is by upgrading yourself, making yourself better, stronger, and getting through these missions. So I'm going to get kind of metaphorical. I think that Terry Crews was the perfect choice for this game on a metaphorical, metaphysical, kind of crazy, spacey Beatles in the late 60s kind of way. Not only because Terry Crews is amazing, because I think that he is the perfect representation of this game. He is Crackdown 3. And I'm going to explain that. I love Terry Crews. I am a huge Terry Crews fan. I think he's fantastic. He's the reason to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's, the reason White Chicks is even watchable and things like that. He's got such charisma, such a great presence about him. And yet, the first time I ever saw Terry Crews was in White Chicks. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a great show, but without Terry Crews, who knows? He also presents America's Got Talent and things like that. I don't think I'll ever see Terry Crews win, and who knows? But at the moment, I don't think I will ever see him win an Oscar or an Emmy or anything like that for a great performance, despite the fact that he could potentially have the potential for that. Who knows? But I never see him act in a way that would evoke that. All I ever see him in is being a great redeemable character in things that just really aren't that great, other than obviously Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But every time I see him on screen, despite the things that he does, every time I see Terry Crews on screen, I'm loving it. I'm loving what I see on the screen, and I'm enjoying watching what I see because the dude just carries it. And I'm enjoying the crappy thing that I'm watching. And in a way, that's Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 isn't great, and on every level, it's just not a game that is a brilliant game and that I could recommend. And yet, every time I load it up, I'm having a great time. I'm having a good time, and I'm kicking ass as Terry Crews, who is a great idea. The best idea that that they could have possibly had for this game is to make him the main character, because Terry Crews is a badass, and the idea of flying around as him is great. But it is the perfect metaphor that Terry Crews, the guy who the first time I ever saw him was in White Chicks, and every time I hear that terrible Making My Way Downtown song, I see him turn to the camera and sing along to it. And it's this guy who has done these things, and yet you see him on the screen is just this huge character. What a perfect metaphor for this game. That is how I feel about the game, and ironically he's the lead. And so, do I recommend Crackdown 3? I can't recommend that you buy it if you're looking for something good, and I'm going to try to nuance how I feel about this game. If you're looking for a good fun time, if you're looking for a fun weekend with a video game, which you get from AAA titles, God of War was a masterpiece, incredible game. It only lasted about 20 hours. If you're looking for a quick, fun experience, then yeah. But if you're looking for something that's incredible, then of course not. But it's Crackdown, so it's free with Game Pass. I mean, if you have Game Pass, then you absolutely download it. If you want to get the trial, then or even pay for a month, it's definitely worth however much I pay for Game Pass. But yeah, that's Crackdown 3. Leave your comments below if you have some opinions on it. If not, form your own. And I guess I'll see you all later after that bashing of reviewers whilst doing a review.